As I stated last week, the games journalism press is not going to allow the firing of Jessica Price to go away as easily as we hoped it would be. Instead of a cautionary tale about what happens when a developer, male or female, gets out of line, insults the customers. Instead of a cautionary tale, we get an attempt to drive this as an ideological issue, that she was fired because she's a woman, ignoring the fact, for the most part, that Peter Freeze, a male, was similarly fired for being just as toxic. We're expected to ignore that. And, for the most part, the ideologues are ignoring it. He's an ancillary portion to this story. He's collateral damage. The real damage was done to Jessica, and it's the exact opposite. Jessica brought everything on herself, and the real victim, aside from the customers, was Peter Freeze. He put himself in the middle of it, absolutely, but 13 years at a company is a long time, and being fired, he's missed. I guarantee it. But we have all the gaming industry coming out with the exact same story. Not word for word, but the exact same narrative, the exact same choice quotes, and at the exact same time. Eurogamer, US Gamer, Polygon, Kotaku, all putting out the same ideological drivel based on absolutely nothing. It's a nothing burger. But as we all know, there is that little list, that little IRC chat room, you could say. Games Journal Pro. That was brought to our attention during Gamergate by, I believe, Jim Sterling, in which they shared stories like this to get on the same ideological page. As we expected, they are trying to double down on the narrative that she was fired because she's a woman. And anybody looking at this objectively, or who did even a little bit of research into it, understands that that's not the case. She was fired because she was a representative of the country. A representative of the company. Now, what do I mean by that? Jessica's Twitter bio said that she was an ArenaNet developer. Now, these people like to put their position, their company they work for, in their Twitter bios to help get that little blue check mark. It does, as some people would say, give them some clout. Jessica was an industry insider, I believe, at Gen Con 2017. She was pretty well known. She was known to be very vocal. And I'm not going to fault somebody for being vocal. I'm just not going to. But there's a time and a place. She was fired from Paizo for being acidic, for being toxic with the players. Remember, she had a tweet that read, "Fuck gamers," because she didn't agree with somebody on the forum stating, "I think you can play a good character who believes slavery is okay." Nope, that didn't fit into her ideological bubble as what's good, and so fuck gamers. Now, we're going to look at the Polygon article because everybody cites the Polygon interview and the Polygon article, so I give Kotaku or US Gamer and whatnot, who are too lazy to do their own work, why even bother to cite them? We'll just go to we'll give the traffic, so to say, to the page that did work. ArenaNet folded like a cheap card table, says fired Guild Wars 2 writer. I'm not going to read the entire thing because that would be a 30-minute video and I'm just not going to do it. Jessica Price, who was fired by ArenaNet last week for arguing with fans of the company's Guild Wars 2 MMO, said she feels betrayed by how the company folded like a cheap card table when confronted by a toxic fandom. In an interview with Polygon, she talked about the meeting in which she was fired and castigated ArenaNet managers for their highly unprofessional reaction to a social media controversy. First point, the controversy was of her own making. She created it. She attacked a customer who said, "I don't exactly agree with your position." He was respectful about it, and when he left the conversation because she was becoming combative, He was equally respectful. Until last week, Price worked as a narrative designer on Guild Wars 2. Earlier this month, meaning last week, she wrote a lengthy Twitter thread about the differences between writing characters for linear, narrative-driven games and player characters in MMOs. A prominent Guild Wars 2 streamer and YouTuber known as Doror chimed in to disagree. Price later called Doror out, tweeting, "Today, in being a female gamer dev, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how you do your job." Well, here's the problem. She didn't call him out. She attacked him. She attacked him for having the temerity to criticize her. How dare this man do that? Who the hell is he? This is a man who had been with the game longer than she had been. He's a well-known content creator and YouTuber for Guild Wars 2. He's actually partnered with ArenaNet as a patron or something like that. I can't remember what they call it off the top of my head. So yeah, they might be a little more defensive of him than, say, if I had been the one that did it and you went after me. The tweet and a follow-up in which she said, "The next random asshat who attempts to explain the concept of branching dialogue to me is getting insta-blocked," triggered a fierce thread on the Guild Wars subreddit. Fans mostly ignored Price's point about women professionals constantly being questioned by men. They wanted to express their anger about a member of the community being rebuked. Okay, so she didn't make a point about women professionals being questioned by men, except in one tweet in which, in response, she said, "Ask yourself why he felt the need to do it," insinuating that it's some kind of sexist remark, that it's based completely on her genitals, her genitalia, her reproductive organs, whatever you want to call it, okay? I would normally go with the more uncouth, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm not going to be an asshole like that right now. I don't have to. She's done it for me. He disagreed. She put something out there publicly. She encouraged, whether she likes it or not, a discussion. And unlike when you talk with your friends and you can have your little hug box or whatever you want to call it, there was dissent. She didn't like that. And she attacked him. She attacked him. Price's bosses, it turned out, agreed with the angry fans. No, they agreed with the players in that, well, maybe she shouldn't have been an asshole. Amazing, isn't it? "I was given no opportunity to argue my case," she said. "My manager was on vacation. O'Brien spent some time insisting that developers must be friends with the company's customers and that it was unacceptable to say that we aren't, even when we're not on the clock. He told me I'd look back and regret this because we were doing great work and I'd ruined it." The whole thing was highly unprofessional, she continued. There was zero reason for him to be there, except he's the company president. He's the head honcho. He's the motherfucker who they call when employees create a public debacle like this, and he has to clean it up. He is entirely answerable to the board of directors, the CEO, etc. At the end of the day, the bottom line is very important for him to keep his position. When you threaten it, yeah, he has every right to be there. He has every right to be there and confronting you. He wanted to vent his anger, and he had the power to command a woman to stand there while he took his feelings out on her. You know what? You got a dressing down because you're an idiot. You did something stupid. Inherently stupid. And then you double down on it. I would be very upset as well. Then he walked out. The manager got my stuff from my desk, and the HR person asked for my key card. Wow, it's almost like, this happens. You create a public spectacle and then you're punished for it. They punished you. Price said she had no previous problem with her bosses and her social media activities. "I was told during my interview and subsequent hiring communications that ArenaNet respected my willingness to speak up on issues in the industry and had no desire to muzzle me." Speaking up on issues is fine. If you have an opinion, as long as it doesn't reflect negatively, they're going to let you have it. If you go, my company is absolute garbage and here's why, they're going to fire you because ArenaNet is an at-will employment company. If they don't want you there, they're going to kick you out right away. They don't have to give you a 2 weeks notice. Professionally, they'd probably do it, but like with what happened here, I wouldn't have given you 2 weeks notice. Everything I said on Twitter was consistent with what I've been saying for years and how I've been saying it. Well, then nobody's going to be freaking hiring you, are they? If you are this toxic to customers who disagree with you, you're not going to be hired. Not in the future. You keep going down. And right here is where it kind of starts to get interesting. Following the firings, O'Brien released a statement saying that prices and freeze attacks on the community were unacceptable. No goddamn shit. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you do, you go out of business or you lose your job and then you're not being fed anymore, are ya? Since the controversy broke, Price has been the target of intense social media harassment and abuse. No, that's called being part of the internet, in which we remember when you're a freaking idiot. We don't like it when you lie. Okay, let's make this very clear. The internet does not like when you lie. They call you out on it, and they don't give a good goddamn if you're a male or female. They're going to call you out on it. And it seems that more and more women are trying to play the sexism angle in order to try to brush away the critique, to brush away the criticism. You're only saying that because I have a pair of breasts. No. You did something inherently stupid. You were punished for it. And instead of saying mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, you doubled down and said it's because of sexism, knowing that's not the case. He caved to a handful of people in an army of bots and sock puppets. No, I'm very certain that the majority of those are people, not bots. Now he's got almost every female developer I know, as well as some men, furious with him. I don't think they are. You put all their jobs in danger when you did that. Each and every swinging dick, metaphorically speaking, had their job threatened by your actions, by yours and Freeze. I don't think they're angry. Now he's got almost every... I said that. I've got recruiters pinging me, promising they'll steer candidates away from ArenaNet, and game design professors saying they're going to warn their students away. I don't think they are. I think they're going to be using this as a test, as a topic of what not to do when you get that developing job. Don't be an idiot. I've also got a lot of ArenaNet coworkers and other industry colleagues contacting me to express how afraid this has made them. Once again, bull. Nobody's contacting you about that. But notice what she didn't say, even as she's making all this up. Where are the job offers? Oh, nobody wants to hire someone who's proven to be a loose cannon on social media. Even if all this is true, nobody's offering you a job, and I wonder why that might be. Might it be because you're an idiot? Because they can't trust you to have a social media account? This is why I said a lot of companies will tell you, don't try and use us to improve your social media standards, because you will screw yourself over if you make us look bad. Following our interview with Price, Polygon contacted ArenaNet for comment. O'Brien issued a further statement to us. Now, I like this statement. This statement is very professional. I'm just going to read it for you because this is worth reading, and this is worth clapping for. Jessica had identified herself as an ArenaNet employee on Reddit and Twitter, had been discussing episode 3 storytelling with fans on Reddit, then had written a 25-part tweet about how we tell stories in MMOs, relating it back to episode 3. She was representing the company. The expectation was to behave professionally and respectfully, or at least walk away. Instead, she attacked. Concerns have been publicly raised that she was responding to harassment. It's not my place to tell employees when they should or shouldn't feel harassed. In this case, however, Our employees could have chosen not to engage, and they could have brought the issue to the company, whereby we would have done everything we could to protect them. We won't tolerate harassment. When an employee feels harassed, we want them to bring the issue to us so that we can protect the employee, deal with the issue, and use it to speak to the larger issue of harassment. Whatever Jessica and Peter felt internally about the situation, this was objectively a customer engaging us respectfully and professionally, presenting a suggestion for our game. Any response from our company needed to be respectful and professional. A perceived slight doesn't give us license to attack. Let me say that again for the hearing impaired and mentally retarded. A perceived slight doesn't give us license to attack. We've all dedicated our careers to entertaining people, to making games for the purpose of delighting those who play them. We generally have a wonderful relationship with our community, and that's a point of pride for us. We want to hear from our players. It's not acceptable that an attempted interaction with our company, in this case a polite game suggestion, would be met with open hostility and derision from us. That sets a chilling precedent. The tweets were made on July 4th when the studio was closed for the holiday. We were aware of them that day and decided we need to take action in the morning. The fact that the community's anger was escalating on July 5th could make it look like our action was a response to the community's anger. That wasn't the case. We took action as soon as we practicably could. I hate to let an employee go, and I wish the best for Jessica and Peter. As for any former employee and whatever they choose to do next. Whatever you thought of the tweets, Jessica and Peter were also part of the team that brought you the kidnapping scene in episode 1, which was a wonderfully well executed scene. That's how I want to remember their time in ArenaNet. That's professionalism. That right there is professionalism. But no, we don't get that from Jessica. What we got really was an attack on Mike, on the company, because she was punished. She played stupid games and she won stupid prizes. We're going to keep going on. I'm not going to read it, but all that has to be said is no-name developers saying that ArenaNet are cowardly pieces of shit who sell out their workers at the drop of a hat. No. These workers, these developers, they fucked up and they paid the price for it. You don't get a free pass just because you're a woman or you're a minority. You don't. If you want true equality, everybody has to be held to the same standard. They didn't just fire Jessica. Peter Freeze, who had been with the company for 13 years, was also fired. Notice how little time he gets on this. Why is that, ask yourself? Because it doesn't fit their narrative of a vindictive, of a sexist company. It's just incredibly funny to listen to this, to read this, because it's such a lie. But it's a narrative they need to push. Because if they don't, what are they at the end of the day? At the end of the day, this is a win. And no matter how much they try and tell us that it isn't, the players and the consumers win. And the ideologues lose. Don't let this whole thing about Gamergate fool you. This is not about Gamergate. This is about keeping people accountable. And that's exactly what ArenaNet did. We won, they lost, and they can't have that.